First of all, where do you stand on the use of the term anchor babies?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use that term. Is it pejorative or not? I don't know. It is a term that I know is used and is often used. I try to call, children children and not anything other than that. These are people who were born in this country. These kids were born in this country, and under the law right now, they're American citizens. They didn't do anything wrong. Their parents did, and their parents should have to pay a price for doing that.
You think Jeb Bush, for example, should apologize for using that term?
Look, I don't see it as an offensive term. It's a common use term. I've heard it for a long time. Up until last week, or a couple of days ago, I should say, I never heard anyone say it was an offensive term. I think it was just it was a term used to describe a phenomenon here in this country. But I think, again, I think much has been blown up about this. I don't think it's offensive. I don't use it.
You don't use it. All right. What about Donald Trump's notion that all 12 million, 11 million, 13 million undocumented illegal immigrants need to be deported? The good ones, he says, can then come back.
Well, I would say this, that we have to go through a process of enforcing our laws. And the laws say that if you came here on a visa and you overstayed your visa, you need to go home. And that's roughly, according to the numbers, anywhere from 40 to 60% of folks who are here illegally came here legally and chose not to leave. They need to be removed. They need to go home. The people who came across the border illegally are in the same situation. Eventually, we have to go through an orderly pass of removals and enforce the laws of this country.
What about the children? There are children who were born here in the United States.
I look at it, the situation as that it confronted my father and grandfather. My grandfather came to this country right after my father was born, lived here for 7 years, never saw his son, and had to wait until he became a citizen in order to bring them over. I asked my dad, were you ever upset with America that you had to live in fascist Italy and march as a brown shirt in Mussolini's little youth corps? And he said, no, America was worth the wait. And I would just say that it's going to certainly put a strain on some families, but they put themselves in that situation, and they have to suffer the consequences for it.
Do you believe the 14th Amendment to the Constitution guarantees citizenship to the children who are born in the United States whose parents are here illegally?
I don't. I think I think there is some controversy about whether it does or not. I know that currently we do grant citizenship to people who are born to illegal immigrants here in this country, and I would actually want to change that. I think that we need to have the Congress has the authority under the Constitution to determine citizenship. It's very clear in Article 1 that they have the ability to determine naturalization. And so whether these children in the future will be considered citizens or not, I think is under the purview of the Congress, and I would urge Congress to change that.
So you think Congress could do it without a constitutional amendment?
I think it's clear in the Constitution. I think it's unclear in the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment doesn't say if you're born here, you're a citizen. It says you're born here and you're under the jurisdiction of the United States. And I think the United States Congress has the right to determine that jurisdiction.
Because children who are born in the United States of foreign diplomats who are serving in the United States, they're not automatically
at the time of the 14th Amendment was passed, Native Americans weren't considered citizens of this country, even though obviously they were born here. So there is a precedent to say that just because you're born here doesn't mean that you're.
So on this issue, you're with Trump.
On this issue, I agree with Trump. I don't know exactly. I believe that people who are currently here in this country who were born here to illegal immigrants are citizens, and you can't be retroactive.